Hey everybody, my name's Ed. Okay, so another random comic book review. So this one is going to be Marvel Super Special um, number 10 featuring Starlord. Okay, all right, get a better shot there. Okay, so just a little background. Star-Lord was created by Steve Englehart and Steve Gann in 1976 in Marvel's Black and White magazine, Marvel Premiere number 4. The character returned in 1977, Marvel Premiere number 11, under Chris Claremont and John Byrne. Star-Lord then made random appearances over the next few years and entered the 616 universe in Marvel Spotlight and Marvel Preview. Marvel Super Special 10 was released in 1979 and features a subtle revamp of the character. He started as kind of a pulp science fiction hero and slowly tweaked to be a more sci-fi superhero. What do I mean by that? Oh, more of a sci-fi influenced superhero. That's what I meant to say. Visually, they ditched his helmet, and for some reason, they made him blonde. Stories written by Doug Munch and the artist by Gene Colan and Tom Palmer. Interestingly enough, there is no separate credit for the coloring. I'm not sure if that's a case that so many people might have been responsible, or if there was maybe another corporate reason for wanting the process to be credited to Marvel Color. It's just me speculating, but it might have been maybe testing ground for Epic Illustrated in full brilliant Marvel color. The story starts with Peter Quill and on his sentient spaceship, dreaming of his mission to do good throughout the universe. He's worshipped by followers, but they turn on him. He awakes with a sudden pain in his side as his ship is attacked by an unknown force and sucked into a black hole. He's rescued by people on a large space ark led by a man named Noah. Noah informs Star-Lord that they're from Earth and the planet has been destroyed. Peter is placed in the care of Aletha, and Aletha tells Peter that Noah's been lying to him and actually wants to conquer Earth. She is part of a rebellion and wants Peter to lead them. He reluctantly accepts. He reluctantly accepts, and they defeat Noah's men. Peter's reunited with Ship and then flies off to have other adventures. So let's see here. So this is actually a couple of things are pretty interesting here. We've got this kind of painted cover here, which is pretty typical for the time. One of the things that's interesting though is I'm not sure the name of this artist, but clearly it's somebody just simply commissioned to do the cover art. Star Lord has weapons, but none of his weapons actually look like that. We've got the half naked, I guess, barbarian queen. um, who's there is a blonde female in the story, but she's dressed nothing like this in the story. And yeah, they obviously just commissioned a guy and said, hey, this is what the character looks like, draw him looking cool and badass or whatever. And so this is what we get here. So just to look inside. Uh, Here's the table of contents. You'll believe a man can fly. That's another interesting thing that this came out in 1979. So this was right when the first Superman movie with Christopher Reeve came out, and that was like the tagline. Oh, I probably should mention that there's two stories here. There's the Star-Lord story, and then there's a backup story. It says, To Sleep Perchance to Die by Mark Dacey and Ernie Colan. And then there's a short text piece on it says sci-fi and animation by Maurice Horn. I think Maurice Horn was a guy who's done a lot of books and a lot of writing back then regarding the history of like comics and stuff like that. So anyway, here we go. World in a Bottle. And that's his spaceship here. And he's sleeping. And then he wakes up with his pain in his side. Well, first he has the pain in the dream, then he wakes up, he's got the pain in his side. And then here's the vortex or whatever attacking. He gets sucked out. You get some kind of nice painted effects here. Let's see here. That's pretty cool looking, right? And when I said the thing about, I wonder if this was kind of a testing ground for, now this is pretty cool. Double page splash. For Epic Illustrated. Because at the time, Marvel did do the super specials in color, but I think the art wasn't, the art and coloring, the productions weren't as sophisticated. They weren't super sophisticated. I don't think they were always as sophisticated as they are right here, from what I remember from the ones that I have. The super specials were sometimes you'd have like an original story, and then sometimes it'd be like an adaptation of some movie or some usually some movie or something like that that was coming out. And then after a while uh, it turned into mostly just adaptations. And here is, oh, I don't know if we got a good shot of here. Here's Aletha being introduced here. And here she's like, hey, things are not what they seem. I'll tell you about it later. Okay, all right. And they're showing them everything about the space arc. Yeah, right. And they meet up a little bit later. But yeah, as far as like the art and stuff, I wonder if it's a case of I'm sorry, the coloring of them trying to determine whether or not it's, I guess, maybe feasible financially to put out, magazine-sized comic with the more sophisticated art that you get in stuff like heavy metal and whatnot, and make it work. This is pretty interesting. They basically, at this point, she tells them that, we're not really humans. We're not really from Earth. We're really from another planet, and we actually want to conquer Earth. And this is kind of funny. Well, I don't know. It's kind of funny to me. So we need you to lead the rebellion. He says yes. And then she like drops the what they call smoke, which is causing the illusions to make them look like humans. And then they say, yeah, it's a good time right before the rebellion to make love, because why not? Okay. All right. So then here he is, meeting with the people, and he's going to be their leader. And then we see the truth has all come out. But then now Noah's men is attacking them all. You get some pretty cool splash pages here. Big battle scenes. Right? Okay. Here you go. There's a scene here where it says he rejects. Let's see here. Where is it at? He rejects the pacifism which will not work. So you're getting something a little bit more grim and mature and grown up, than, the usual 616 comic where Spider-Man or somebody would actually save the villain. They would go out of their way not to kill anyone. And part of that is, comic book morality and things like that. And of course, part of it is also, the comic book's code and what have you. It's pretty much the end of the story. He's led the rebellion. They're taking over the ship, and then he's found his ship, and then they're gonna go off, and he flies off into space. And then here we just have just some filler. Here's a pinup, just some filler. Okay, let's see here. What else did I write? The story is soaked with religious allegory and not particularly subtle about its symbolism. Peter's dream is of being worshipped. He wakes with a pain in his side, like Jesus from being stabbed. Of course, the whole premise is based on Noah's Ark. Aletha's name means truth. At one point, Peter wonders if it's his destiny to become the Lord of the people on the Ark. So it's kind of a fun story. Like I said, really great art. The backup story is okay. Um, Nice looking story wise. It's not really a big deal. Basically, this guy flies off into outer space. His ship goes off course. He finds himself in a barbarian world, and he gets in good with the good guys. There's some rebellion or barbarians or whatever, and he helps fight. And I don't know, he wins the love of the princess, right? And then drives off the barbarian hordes and stuff like that. And then he passes out, or no, somebody knocks him out, I should say. And then he wakes up, he's back on his spaceship. And it was all a dream. Or was it? Dun dun dun. And then here's the Maurice Horn thing. And here's an ad for next issue. Weird World Epic. Warriors of the Shadow Realm. Doug Monch and gloriously rendered by John Buscema. Panoramic triple page foldouts, incredible map of Weird World, full color features on the traditions of fantasy and literature in illustration, hand painted original art, and super Marvel color. It's basically, this was like Marvel's kind of version of like the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and things like that. So okay, so there we go. That's it. Pretty fun. Thank you very much for watching, and you guys have a good day.